What if I told you that the airline industry is quietly pulling in over $145 billion a year in fees that never show up in the ticket price you clicked on? That the airport you are walking through was literally engineered to rearrange your decision-making, and that the people who fly every single week already know exactly how to sidestep every one of these traps while you keep falling into them. Here's the thing. The airlines and the airports have spent decades perfecting a system designed to separate you from your money after you think you have already paid. And the frequent flyers, the gate agents, the travel insiders, they have been watching it happen and quietly exploiting the gaps. This video is your access to what they know. Before we count down, let me tell you what is coming. Later in this list, we are going to expose a brand new $45 fee the TSA started charging this year that most travelers have no idea exists until they are standing at the checkpoint. And at number 1, we are going to reveal the single most valuable right you have as a passenger in 2026, a rule the airlines are legally required to follow but are banking on you never learning about. Hit that subscribe button, because every week we post videos that pull back the curtain on the systems designed to keep you uninformed and arm you with the knowledge the insiders already have. Here are 12 airport secrets airlines are hiding from you in 2026, ranked from sneaky to absolutely outrageous. Number 12, the left turn labyrinth. Most people think airports are designed for efficiency, getting you from curb to gate as fast as possible. That's the story they tell. The reality is the exact opposite. Airport walkways are deliberately curved to the left. Why? Because most travelers are right-handed, dragging luggage in their right hand, and turning left feels more natural when you're loaded down. But here's the part they don't advertise. While your body drifts left, your head naturally looks right. And that's exactly where the shops and restaurants are positioned, every single time. The insiders who study airport layouts have confirmed this over and over. This isn't a coincidence. It's behavioral architecture built on decades of consumer psychology research. The airports aren't forcing you to buy anything. They're rearranging the entire decision landscape so the path of least resistance leads directly past the highest margin storefronts. Think about that. An entire building redesigned around which hand you carry your suitcase in. Here's how to actually use this knowledge. Next time you're walking through the terminal, consciously look left instead of right. You'll notice fewer retail displays, more plain walls, more direct routes to your gate. The expensive stuff is staged on your dominant visual side because that's where your attention naturally falls. This gets overlooked because it works so well you never notice it. You think you chose to stop at that store. You didn't. The building chose for you. And the next time you're wandering through that terminal with an hour to kill, remember that every turn was calculated long before you arrived. Number 11, the golden hour shakedown. There's a window of time the airport industry literally calls the golden hour. It's that stretch after you've cleared security, your stress has dropped, and you've still got time before boarding. You feel safe. You feel relieved. And that's exactly when they've positioned the most expensive retail in the entire airport directly in your path. Duty-free is almost always the first thing you see after exiting the security checkpoint. That's not logistical convenience. That's strategic placement designed to catch you at your most psychologically vulnerable and financially relaxed moment. And the positioning goes deeper. Inside those stores, the highest margin items, the luxury perfumes, the premium spirits, the designer accessories, those are placed at eye level right at the entrance. The cheaper goods are buried in the back. Every frequent flyer who's paid attention to this knows exactly what's happening. The proof is in the layout itself. You walk through it every single trip, and the arrangement never changes because it never stops working. Here's how to actually use this. Walk past duty-free without stopping on your way to the gate. If you genuinely want something, come back after you've settled at your gate and checked prices on your phone. 9 times out of 10, you'll find the same product cheaper online or at a regular retail store. You'll also notice your urge to buy drops significantly once you're seated, and that manufactured sense of urgency fades. This gets overlooked because the golden hour doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like leisure time. And the airports are counting on you, treating that relief like a reward you should spend on. The next secret is about something that probably happened to you the last time you booked a flight and you didn't even realize it. Number 10. The Tuesday myth is dead. For years, the conventional wisdom was ironclad. Book your flights on Tuesday afternoon and you'll get the cheapest fare. Travel blogs repeated it. Your coworker repeated it. Your mother-in-law repeated it. And in 2026, it is completely, provably false. The Tuesday trick was a relic from an era when airlines updated their fare sheets once a week, typically on Monday nights, and competitors matched by Tuesday morning. That system no longer exists. A 2024 analysis confirmed that fare adjustments now occur around the clock, driven by real-time demand, route competition, and algorithmic pricing engines that never sleep. There is no single best day to book a flight anymore. Every insider who actually works in airline revenue management will tell you the same thing. The data backs this up completely. Airlines now use AI-driven dynamic pricing and continuous pricing systems that eliminate the old rigid fare buckets entirely. Instead of prices jumping between fixed tiers, they move in small, responsive steps throughout every hour of every day. Think about that. The entire premise of the Tuesday trick assumed a weekly pricing cycle. That cycle has been dead for years. Here's how to actually use this. Stop scheduling your booking sessions around a specific day of the week. Set fare alerts through flight tracking tools and let the algorithm notify you when prices actually drop on your specific route. You're monitoring real market movement instead of following a superstition. This myth refuses to die because it feels actionable. People love having a specific, simple rule to follow, and the airlines have zero incentive to correct you. Because while you're waiting for Tuesday, seats in the cheapest fare buckets are selling out on Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and every other day. And the next secret on this list is about what happens when you check those prices more than once. Number 9. The search price conspiracy that isn't. You have done it. You searched for a flight, found a decent price, went to grab your credit card, came back, and the fare jumped $30. The immediate conclusion: the airline saw your search and raised the price on you. It is one of the most widely believed travel conspiracies of the last decade. And the people who actually build airline pricing systems say it is not real. Airlines do not raise prices because you searched twice. The infrastructure to track individual users across devices, browsers, cleared cookies, and VPN connections is too complex and too unreliable to be worth the algorithmic effort. What's actually happening is simpler and honestly more frustrating. Seats in the cheapest fare bucket sold out between your first search and your second. You're not being targeted. You're watching real-time supply and demand do exactly what it does. The pricing engineers confirm this consistently. Every person who has worked inside airline revenue management tells the same story. There is no individual surveillance. There is just a finite number of cheap seats disappearing fast during active booking windows. Here's how to actually use this. When you find a fare you are happy with, book it. Do not comparison shop for 3 days hoping it drops another $15. The seats in that price tier are limited, and every hour you wait is an hour someone else books one. Use a private browser if it makes you feel better, but understand the real risk is not being tracked. It's hesitating. This conspiracy persists because the experience of watching a price rise after you searched genuinely feels personal, and because airlines have never gone out of their way to explain how fare buckets work to the flying public. That opacity is the real problem, and your next secret is built on that same deliberate silence. Number 8. The $400 ticket that cost $850. Here's a story the airlines hope you never hear. A traveler booked what looked like a $400 round-trip ticket from Riyadh to Paris on a low-cost European carrier. By the time she actually boarded the plane, she had paid $850. A 23-kilogram checked bag added $90. Seat selection for her and her travel companion cost $48. A skip-the-queue boarding pass she accidentally clicked during checkout added $24. The carrier-imposed fuel surcharge, buried in the tax breakdown, was $145 per leg, and currency conversion at checkout silently shaved another 3% off the top. That's more than double the advertised fare, and none of those charges were visible on the initial search results page. The people who audit airline pricing structures have been documenting this pattern across every low-cost carrier operating in 2026. The numbers don't lie. Ancillary revenue across the industry now exceeds $145 billion annually. That's more than 20% of total airline revenue coming from charges that never appear in the headline price. Think about that. 1 out of every $5 the airline earns comes from something they deliberately kept off the search results page. Here's how to actually use this. Before you click book, add up every fee manually. Checked bag, seat selection, boarding priority, fuel surcharges hidden in the tax line, payment processing fees. Some carriers like Spirit and Frontier charge up to $22.99 just for booking online. Compare the true all-in total against a full-service carrier's ticket price. You'll be stunned how often the full-service airline is actually cheaper. This gets overlooked because the search results page is designed to show you only the base fare, the lowest possible number, and by the time you've entered your payment details and your 3 clicks from confirmation, adding another $24 feels trivial even though the total has doubled. That exact psychology is why the next secret catches so many travelers off guard. Number 7. The free gate-checked bag. This one is so simple, it almost feels like cheating. And the gate agents have been watching passengers miss it for years. When a flight is full and overhead bin space is running out, the airline will make an announcement at the gate offering to check your carry-on bag to your final destination for free. No checked bag fee. No extra charge. They'll tag it, load it in the cargo hold, and deliver it to baggage claim at the other end. The people who fly every week know this drill cold. They listen for the words "we expect a full flight and will run out of overhead bin space," and they immediately volunteer their roller bag. Every pro knows it. You walk onto the plane hands-free, settle into your seat without wrestling for bin space, and saved yourself anywhere from $35 to $90 depending on the carrier. Here's how to actually use this. Pack your carry-on so that everything you need during the flight, medications, electronics, headphones, documents, is in a small personal item you keep under the seat. Then when that gate announcement comes, raise your hand over the roller bag, and board without the overhead bin fight. You just got a free checked bag while the person behind you paid $90 for the same service at the ticket counter. Don't put anything in that roller bag you can't afford to have arrive late, because gate-checked bags occasionally end up on the next flight. Keep essentials on your person. This gets overlooked because most passengers hear the announcement and assume it's an inconvenience being forced on them rather than a free service being offered. The framing matters. The airline frames it as "we need your help." The reality is, they're giving away a paid service for free, and the next secret involves a fee that didn't even exist until this year. Number 6. The $45 ID tax. If you're starting to see the pattern, if you're realizing that almost every part of the airport experience has been quietly monetized while you weren't paying attention, do me a favor, hit that like button. It helps this reach people who actually want to travel smarter instead of getting nickel and dimed at every checkpoint. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you're exactly the kind of person who should be here. Starting February 1st, 2026, the TSA introduced a program called Confirm.ID. Here's what it means. If you show up to the security checkpoint without a real ID compliant license, a passport, or another TSA-approved credential, you're not getting turned away. You're getting charged $45 on the spot for a one-time identity verification process that covers a 10-day travel window. Before this year, showing up without proper ID meant a longer screening process, maybe some extra questions, but no fee. That changed overnight, and the TSA did not exactly broadcast it. The frequent travelers caught this immediately because they track regulatory changes the way most people track sports scores. This policy is confirmed and in effect right now. Think about that. $45 because you forgot to update your driver's license or left your passport in the wrong jacket. And it's not optional. You either pay it or you don't fly. Here's how to actually use this. Check your ID right now. Not tomorrow, right now. If your driver's license doesn't have a star in the upper corner, or if the state marking says not for federal identification, you need a real ID compliant version or a valid passport before your next trip. The renewal process takes weeks in most states, so do not wait until the night before your flight. This gets overlooked because the TSA rolled it out with minimal fanfare, and most travelers assume their current ID is fine because it worked last time. Last time was before February 1st, and the next secret on this list is probably sitting in your carry-on right now. Number 5, the USB charging trap. Every airport gate has them. USB charging ports built into the seats, the counters, the walls. Your phone is at 12%, your flight doesn't board for 40 minutes, and that little rectangular port is sitting right there like a gift. The security professionals who monitor airport infrastructure have a name for what can happen when you plug in. Juice jacking. It's a real and documented threat in 2026. A compromised USB port can install malware on your device the moment you connect. It can copy contacts, photos, passwords, banking credentials, and you won't see a single notification while it happens. This isn't theoretical. The threat has been confirmed by cybersecurity agencies and airport security teams alike. Think about that. You're plugging your phone, the device that holds your boarding pass, your banking apps, your email, your entire digital identity, into a port that a stranger may have tampered with. Here's how to actually use this. Carry your own wall charger and plug into a standard electrical outlet instead, or carry a portable battery pack. If you absolutely must use a USB port, use a data-blocking USB cable, sometimes called a USB condom, that allows power through but physically blocks the data pins. They cost less than $10 and they eliminate the risk entirely. This gets overlooked because the ports look official. They are built into the furniture. They feel like part of the airport infrastructure. And because nobody expects the charging station at Gate B17 to be a cybersecurity threat. The insiders who work in airport IT know better, and now you do too. And the next secret on this list involves something the TSA just changed the rules on that's been hiding in plain sight. Number 4, the curling iron ban. In 2026, the TSA quietly updated its prohibited items list with a rule that's going to catch a lot of travelers off guard. Cordless curling irons and cordless flat irons that contain lithium batteries or gas and butane cartridges are now banned from checked luggage. Completely. No exceptions. They must go in your carry-on with a secure safety cover over the heating element. Before this change, most travelers tossed their cordless styling tools into their checked bag without a second thought. That habit will now get your bag flagged, opened, and the item confiscated. And if the delay causes you to miss a connection, the TSA is not covering your rebooking. The professionals who track TSA policy changes caught this one immediately. The rule is active and enforced. Here's the logic behind it. Lithium batteries in the pressurized, unmonitored cargo hold are a fire risk. A cordless curling iron that accidentally activates inside a checked bag surrounded by clothing and compressed air is a genuine hazard. The TSA isn't being arbitrary here, but they are being quiet about it. Meanwhile, there's good news buried in the same round of TSA updates. The agency continues rolling out computed tomography scanners, the CT machines that produce three-dimensional images of carry-on bags. At checkpoints equipped with these scanners, you no longer need to remove your laptop or your liquids bag from your carry-on. Just send the whole bag through. And as of July 2025, the shoes-off policy was reversed nationwide. All travelers can now keep their shoes on during screening. Think about that. Two of the most annoying parts of the security line, pulling out laptops and taking off shoes, are being phased out, and the TSA barely told anyone. Here's how to actually use this. Before your next flight, check whether your departure airport has CT scanners at its checkpoints. If it does, skip the laptop and liquids ritual entirely and walk through with your shoes on. This gets overlooked because most travelers stopped reading TSA updates years ago and just follow the habits of the person in front of them in line. And the next secret is about a massive change that just ended a 53-year tradition. Number 3, the death of open seating. On January 27, 2026, Southwest Airlines did something it had never done in 53 years of operation. It killed open seating. Gone. The airline that built its entire brand identity on the sit-wherever-you-want boarding experience officially introduced 8 distinct boarding groups and assigned seats to every passenger. This is the most significant transformation in Southwest history since its founding. If you haven't flown Southwest since the change, the experience is unrecognizable. No more cattle call lineups, no more sprinting down the jet bridge hoping for an aisle seat. No more A group, B group, C group lottery. You get a seat number on your boarding pass, and that's where you sit. And Southwest wasn't alone. On April 29, 2026, JetBlue rolled out its own overhaul, moving from branded letter groups to 8 numbered boarding groups. American Airlines also adjusted its system. Basic economy passengers without status or an eligible credit card now board in Group 7 instead of Group 6. The industry veterans who've watched these changes unfold confirm the pattern. Every major carrier is restructuring boarding to create more premium tiers they can sell upgrades into. Think about that. The boarding process isn't being redesigned for efficiency, it's being redesigned as a revenue layer. Here's how to actually use this. If you're flying Southwest in 2026, check in the moment the window opens, because early check-in directly affects which boarding group and seat options you get. On JetBlue, understand that your numbered group determines bin access, and higher groups mean the bins near your seat are already full. On American, know that basic economy without status puts you nearly last. This gets overlooked because airlines frame boarding changes as improvements to the passenger experience. The real motivation is that every boarding tier they create is a tier they can charge you to skip. And the next secret is about what happens when the airline sells your seat to someone else. Number 2, the $2,150 bumping check. Federal law says if an airline bumps you from an oversold flight against your will, they owe you cash. Not a voucher, not a meal coupon, not frequent flyer miles. Cash, up to $2,150. And the airline is not going to volunteer this information. Here's how the formula works. If the airline can't get you to your destination and the delay is under 2 hours on a domestic flight, they owe you 200% of your one-way ticket price, up to a maximum of $775. If the delay stretches between 2 and 4 hours domestically, or over 4 hours on an international route, that jumps to 400% of your ticket price, up to $1,550. And those are the minimum legal requirements. Some carriers have gone further. United Airlines has raised its voluntary compensation offers to as much as $10,000 to avoid the legal and PR fallout of involuntary bumps. The people who fly every week and understand their rights under Department of Transportation regulations know this cold. The rules are clear, documented, and enforceable. Think about that. $10,000 for giving up your seat voluntarily, and the airline would rather pay that than deal with the legal consequences of forcing you off. Here's how to actually use this. If you're involuntarily bumped, do not accept a voucher. Tell the gate agent you want the denied boarding compensation in cash or as a check. Cite the Department of Transportation's involuntary denied boarding rules. Be polite but firm. They know the rules, they're trained on them, they're just hoping you don't know them too. And if you're offered voluntary compensation, negotiate. The initial offer is almost never the final offer. If they're offering $400, ask for $800. If the flight is clearly oversold and they're desperate, the ceiling can go much higher. As one travel expert put it, sometimes it's possible to get more compensation than what airlines commit to publicly. You just have to ask. This gets overlooked because the airline frames the bump as your problem. They apologize, hand you a voucher, and point you toward the rebooking counter. The cash compensation you're legally owed never comes up unless you bring it up. And that same principle of airlines hoping you don't know your own rights is exactly what makes our #1 secret the most valuable thing in this entire video. Number 1. The automatic refund rule. Here's what most people miss. In 2026, the Department of Transportation finalized a rule that fundamentally changed the balance of power between you and the airline. If your domestic flight is delayed by 3 hours or more, or your international flight is delayed by 6 hours or more, the airline must offer you a full, automatic cash refund. Not a credit, not a voucher, not a future travel certificate. Cash, returned to your original payment method within days. And if the airline offers you a voucher instead of a cash refund after a covered disruption, that airline is not in compliance with federal law. Read that again. If they hand you a voucher and you didn't specifically ask for one, they are breaking the rule. Every consumer rights advocate tracking airline regulations in 2026 has confirmed this is now the standard. The rule is final, enforceable, and the airlines are required to process these refunds automatically. But it goes even further. If you pay a checked bag fee and your luggage arrives more than 12 hours late on a domestic flight or 15 to 30 hours late on an international flight, the airline must automatically refund that baggage fee. If you paid for onboard Wi-Fi and it didn't work during the flight, you get that fee refunded. If you paid for a premium seat upgrade and the service wasn't delivered, refund. Think about that. Every broken promise the airline makes now has a price tag attached to it, and that price tag comes out of their pocket, not yours. The Department of Transportation has already shown it's willing to enforce. Spirit and Frontier were hit with $2.5 million in fines for delay-related problems. Here's how to actually use this. Document everything. Screenshot your booking confirmation. Note the scheduled departure time and the actual departure time. If your delay crosses the 3-hour domestic or 6-hour international threshold, contact the airline immediately and request a cash refund, not a credit. If they push back or offer a voucher, reference the DOT automatic refund rule and file a complaint with the Department of Transportation directly. The complaint process is free and it works. This gets overlooked because the airlines have spent decades training passengers to accept vouchers as the default response to disruptions. The voucher feels like compensation. It isn't. It's the airline lending you back your own money with an expiration date and restrictions attached. The new rule says that's no longer acceptable. And now you know. If you made it all the way to the end, you've just learned something most people never will. The airport isn't just a building you pass through. It's a system designed to extract money from you at every single step. And the only defense is knowing exactly where the traps are and what rights you actually have. Smash that like button if this changed how you think about flying in 2026. Drop a comment and tell me which one surprised you most. Team automatic refund rule, team $2,150 bumping check, team $45 ID tax. I read every comment. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you never miss a video. I'd love to have you on this journey with us. Remember, sometimes the best protection at the airport isn't a first-class ticket or a priority pass. Sometimes it's the knowledge the airline's buried in the fine print, waiting for you to finally read it.